Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Jake Botel Sports Experience. My name is Jake Botel, and I will be your host as per the usual on today's episode. And today I've got a quick instant recap for you of the National Hurling League relegation playoff game between Antrim and Offaly in the Allianz National Hurling League. Watched this game this morning. Didn't get up at 2 a.m. to watch it, but watched it as soon as I got up on demand. Great game. Good contest between two sides looking to avoid going back down to Division 2. Interesting contest between two sides uh, of the same record. Both 5 games, 5 losses. Antrim playing in Group 1B and Offaly in Group 1A. So both of them went 0-5 in their regular group play. But if we dig into it and have a look at it, contrasting results, really. Offaly in 1A lost 17-34 to Galway in game 1. They lost 18-37 to Cork. They lost 18-25 to Wexford. That was as close as they got to anyone, was that 7-point loss to Wexford. They lost 16-32 to Clare, and they lost 17-41 to Limerick. Limerick absolutely blew the doors off them in the final game of the season by 24 points, which is a massive thrashing in hurling terms. Overall, Offaly score for out of the 5 games, they score 3 goals, 77 points for a total of 86 points. They concede 17 goals, 118 points, 169 total, so minus 83 point differential. They lost every game by double figures, almost lost every game by 20, barring that 7-point loss to Wexford. Contrast that with Antrim up in Group 1B, or down in Group 1B, however you like to look at it. Lost by 3 points to Kilkenny, lost by 4 points to Dublin, lost by 2 points to Waterford, lost by 1 point to Laois. They got blown out in the final game of the season for them, in their final regular league game of the season, by 30 points, 50-20 against Tipperary. Now, Tipperary have not had the greatest league campaign themselves, and probably looking to lay down a marker ahead of championship hurling. And perhaps Antrim not going all out in that game, knowing that they would have a relegation playoff game upcoming with Offaly. As we said, a month or so ago when I previewed the league, and different teams use the league in different ways. Not everyone goes, full pace. In every matchup, you sort of save some of the strategy for key games. And both Tipperary and Limerick in those last games, Tipperary hammering Antrim by 30, Limerick hammering Offaly by 24, looking for a good solid tune-up before championship hurling. But the matter at hand, Antrim, if you look at that, the composite score, I guess, or their total score through their 5 league games, they scored 9 goals, 82 points for a 109-point total. They conceded 15 goals, 104 points for 149 total. So they lose by a combined margin of 40 points. But remember, 30 of that 40 was that loss last weekend to Tipperary. If you take out that game, they lose 4 games by a combined margin of 10 points. They almost knocked off Kilkenny. They put 3 goals in on Kilkenny. They almost knocked off Dublin. They almost knocked off Waterford. They almost knocked off Laois. And this comes on the back for Antrim of a campaign last year where they had wins over Clare and Laois and a draw with Wexford. So I won't lie, I was going into this game cheering for Antrim. I've had a bit of a soft spot for them since I watched that game last season where they almost defeated Wexford. and I've been sort of that they've been my secondary cheering interest, my secondary rooting interest this season. When I look at, when I'm not cheering for Tipperary, I'm generally cheering for Antrim. I've got, as I said, got a bit of a soft spot for them. So I was hoping that they'd get up today, and they did. Um, Antrim winning this relegation playoff game, 3 goals, 24-33 to Offaly, 2-17-23. In fairness to Offaly, they were up for the fight. They really put in. It was a close game in patches. Offaly actually, got out to an early lead. But Antrim, to me, looked bigger, faster, stronger. And the key in this game was that Antrim posed more of a goal threat from the opening sort of possessions of the game. Antrim made it pretty clear that they were going to be hunting 3 points at every given opportunity. They were going route one, carrying the slitter inside the Offaly box and looking to seek a goal scoring opportunity. Offaly, on the other hand, were either keener to take shots from distance, or else they were confined to taking shots from long distance. Whatever the case, they were scoring in single points. Antrim obviously added singles of their own, but they were chasing goals. They were chasing 3 point scores whenever they could. And I love that style of hurling. I loved watching Kilkenny last weekend do that to Waterford, where Waterford were sort of happier to take long range scores. Kilkenny were hunting goals. I love that in teams. I love teams that search for the 3 point scores. It allowed Antrim to build a quick buffer, and then every time Offaly started wearing them down, with single point efforts, Offaly would get it back to a 1 point margin, and Antrim just had, you know, the ability to put in a goal and create that buffer again. Offaly did end up with a couple of goals late themselves, one from a penalty, but it was in some ways too little too late. You always felt like Antrim had that extra little bit of firepower, that extra goal scoring ability, and I like that. They were aggressive in their approach. They've been aggressive in every game I've watched them. They thoroughly deserved to stay up. They were cleaner. They were tidier with their hurling today. And I just enjoyed their game style. I watched the game of Offaly. I believe I watched them play Galway, and I believe I watched them play Cork, possibly Clare as well. I watched a fair few of these games. There was no coverage of Kilkenny Antrim, but I watched Antrim play Dublin. I watched them play Waterford. I watched them play Laois. And as I said, I would have watched at least two, if not three, of Offaly's 5 games. And Offaly looked, I was flabbergasted, I guess, that Antrim never got over the line earlier in the season. Um, I really think that they should have fancied themselves to beat Dublin, and they did. I think they'd be disappointed looking back on that contest in a way. Um, the fact they got within 2 points of Waterford, who have been absolutely flying it, and I think they should have beaten Laois as well. I think there's a few games where Antrim will look back and go, last season we put these teams away. When we had the opportunity, we beat Clare, we beat Laois, we drew with Wexford. Um, I, so I think Antrim would probably be a bit disappointed having gone 0-5 in this season. Offaly, it was sort of unsurprising. It looks like they probably need more time, from a, and I'm not, some deep hurling analyst, but just to me, having watched a number of the games this season and in seasons previous, Antrim look a lot closer to that Division 1 level to me. They look a bit stronger bodied. They look a little faster. They look a lot tidier with their general skills around the park. They look more of a Division 1 team in terms of the style of game that they play. As I said, like Kilkenny, they seem to have moulded themselves on teams like that who are seeking to score goals, and backing themselves to run and carry and break lines and put 3 points into the back of the net. So really happy for Antrim that they get the win. I'm really glad they stay up in Division 1. I think it's good that, these repeat. I think that's what you want as a team like an Antrim. and when you find yourself up in, Division 1 of any sport, this is like Premier League teams too. Um, you don't want to go up and then bob straight back down. As much as possible, you want to try and get a foothold, just survive year 1 and have the ability to grow again on year 2. Offaly will be disappointed, obviously, that they don't get that opportunity to grow again next season in Division 1. But I have a feeling they'll be bouncing back up pretty quickly. I think Westmeath are the team that's going to come back up after having a year out of Division 1. But really good stuff for Antrim. Just good execution. And as I said, loved watching their style. I've loved watching them since I saw that game against Wexford. They play with no fear. It doesn't look like they fear anyone going out on the park. Big team, small team. I really, really, really enjoy watching Antrim's hurling. Just a delight to watch. So commiserations to Offaly, but Antrim, in the end, the better team from where I was sitting, won the game and the right to stay in Division 1. And I look forward to following the Antrim journey again next season. All right, that'll do it for my snap recap of Antrim v Offaly. I'll be putting one up for Tipperary, rather not Tipperary, for Cork v Kilkenny, and I believe the other semi-final might be Waterford and Wexford. I know it's Wexford. So I'll put up another, 10, 15 minute recap of both the semi-finals as well. That's my intention. Yeah, so please, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you might get to watch some of the hurling at some point, wherever you are. But until next time, you guys have been awesome.